What we found with the books is that people wanted to work on a specific problem. I have a knee problem, or I have a backache, or I have depression, or I have
anger
or smoke or whatever.
Eat too much.
And we say, no, that is not your problem. That is just the symptom. That is not your problem.
And when there was a study some years ago now, and they looked at children that had suffered alcohol abuse from their parents, drug abuse, sexual abuse, violence, etc. And they looked at the impact of these different traumas on them. And there was one impact that was the greatest on these children. And it wasn't those ones, even though those are extreme. It was actually living with a highly unpredictable parent. And the reason is, when you live with a highly unpredictable parent, the brain is always on edge. It is always releasing. If you're on tenterhooks the whole time, how are they going to respond? Am I going to be in trouble? Oh no, they're happy today. Oh, thank goodness. But when a child is always in the environment, constantly on tenterhooks, it literally, that stress damages the brain. Now, the interesting thing with that one is, guess what? Humans are unpredictable. So we have all been exposed to that. It's to some degree throughout our lives. And what those people were doing at that time, the raps don't get you to blame them. What the raps do, they get you to understand the situation that that parent, that carer was in. Because in reality, that person was only doing what their brain could tell them to do at that split second in time. They might have regretted it afterwards. Mm-hmm. But their brain, based on their life experiences, had triggered their fears and had caused them to react that way. And the more you get to see your parents' lives, your carers' lives, your siblings' lives with this new adult perspective as opposed to what they did to me, that is when you downsize those memories that are driving you. We often say to people, it's about living with, when you do the raps, it's about living with compassion and ease as opposed to reaction and fear. And that's healthy for the body.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am interested in learning about, it is a system, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm interested in learning about how it first came together.
Yeah.
So Gwenda did sort of briefly mention your story.
Yes, well, I was a very relaxed guy and then I got out into the commercial world, and that was interesting because it was very different because I'd always been flying, and flying's amazing because you can leave the world behind when you go flying. All the people with their problems are down there and you're up here and it's beautiful. Okay. When I stopped flying, I suddenly had to join all these people down here. And that's when I found it difficult. Okay. So I started looking at all these self-improvement programs that are available from all these gurus. And I had a friend who was really into it. He spent thousands of dollars on these courses. And he went to one of those big guys, I won't mention his name, who shouts at you and tells you to get better and all that sort of thing. But what was quite useful is that I could read his books that he had paid for and all that. And I did all those, and Dale Carnegie, I studied him and all those sort of people. And very interesting, but it just did not satisfy my need. I was still a frustrated, stressed guy at the time. And this was getting to me because I knew I was, and I wasn't me. If you like, I was uncomfortable with who I was. I looked around and I just happened to come across this emotional freedom technique, or tapping as it's known, and that just immediately resonated with me, okay, because that's exactly that. It gets into your subconscious. So I studied it and I actually became qualified and a coach and all that. What I learned about it is, and that millions of people do it, and it is very powerful and it works really well. But it generally works really well when you work with somebody, okay? Because I don't know what's going on in your mind, as you don't know what's mine. And for you to get into your subconscious is very difficult. For me to get into my subconscious, because we have this protection.
And by subconscious, I always say we're talking memories.
Your memories, okay. So what you need is somebody to be able to jump over that wall and trigger something in your memories, okay? Tapping does that. But when you do it yourself, you're using your conscious mind to try and do it. Mm. So people say, when I do it, it's not nearly as effective as when you do it with me. And that's made me think about it yeah, of course it is. It can't be, because you're using your own conscious brain. If using your conscious brain was work, then we wouldn't need tapping, we wouldn't need anything, because we'd all be able to just work it out ourselves. So yes, so I started, when I did it with people, very powerful. So we triggered that, and I eventually convinced my family, who had thought I'd lost the plot, that it actually is quite effective, and Christine came on board. And then people kept on saying, please write down what you said. Waste of time, because that was only applicable at that moment of time. When you read it later, it's
different memories.
Different memories. So it's not, but we needed something to do the same as us asking the question or making a statement, you know. So I can make a statement or ask you a question, which will jump into your subconscious and trigger one of your memories, you see. That's how you get that trigger, by somebody else or something else
that you weren't expecting.
Coming and asking the question or making a statement which triggers a memory. And that's where we came up with this idea, I wonder if we can write something that does exactly that. So Christine listened to my words. She said, oh, well, you've got the words. Well, not really. I just ramble, as I'm doing now. Okay, I just ramble. And she was really good with the words. So she then started putting them to paper. And that's when we developed our rhythmic activating prose, little prose scripts. And it went from there. So that's nearly 20 years ago now that we started. And we wrote them all and produced them into a book. But what we found with the books is that people wanted to work on a specific problem. I have a knee problem, or I have a backache, or I have depression, or I have a
anger
or smoke or whatever.
Eat too much.
And we say, no, that is not your problem. That is just the symptom. That is not your problem. Even though you've got a pain in the knee, it's not your problem.
The reason you smoke, smoking's not the problem. It's what is causing you to need to smoke. And that comes back to that same phrase. There's always something prior to you reaching for the extra glass of wine, for the cigarette, for the food, or your automatic anger. What was behind your need to respond that way? Why did you feel you needed to self-soothe, or you needed to protect yourself, or you needed to defend yourself? Well, it's because of something you've learnt in the past.
Yes. Well, why have I got this pain in my right knee, or that I haven't been hit by a bus today, but it's suddenly got a pain? Okay. So,
and again, we saw a research paper on that literally 2 weeks ago. It was around shoulder pain, and again, it was showing how your emotions, which are hormones and chemicals, actually do get stored in certain parts in the body, because you hold your body differently when you're stressed. And this is why physical pain is pretty much always also supported by stress, by some kind of emotional pain.
Yeah. Yeah, so we went from there and we put that out, and Gwenda came along and said, we really should make it more interactive online. So we developed the format, and we came up with our system, our tool, which is all online, and where you only put in a number to generate the rap.
That was your point, yeah. So to stop people trying to focus on their problems and talk about their problems and actually reinforce the neural activity in the brain around the problem, we prevent that by getting you to just choose a 3-digit number, you put it into the system, and it generates a rap for you. So the one I was talking about before was number 404. No one had any idea what that one was about. And it was called Scared and Intimidated. You probably can't see it, but that's what a little rap looks like. And you can listen or read it.
Yeah. So, because we don't want to know your story. No. It's totally irrelevant to us, and you, in fact. And people don't like me saying this, but when people tell a story, they want to get to the end as quickly as they can, okay? And the reason they want to get to the end is they're looking for either congratulations or commiserations. Empathy. That's what they're looking for, just about every story you tell. And that's irrelevant, because the actual key is the thing that's triggered the story before, right at the beginning. That's the thing you want to sort out, not the end here, whether I was great or not, a failure. What actually caused the issue or the feeling or whatever it is right at the beginning. And that's what the raps do. And that's why we use a number system as opposed to a subject system.
It's very, is the next step like a AI
Artificial intelligence.
It feels like it feels like you're collecting all the pieces to make an AI version online.
Potentially you could, but I think the key with this is every one of us is completely unique.
Unique.
So
Everyone.
I will read this rap, Scared and Intimidated, and it talks about, I just had a quick look, it talks about some dominating people when I was younger, and guess what? That will trigger some people in my mind. If you were to read it, and you read the sentence, dominating people, it's going to trigger very different people in your mind. I don't even know those people. It's going to trigger completely different people in your mind. And this is the power of it, because it's bringing art and science together. The science shows us that it's your memories that control you. You need to downsize them, right? The art is the poetry, enables your mind to wander and see whatever is stored back in those millions and millions and millions of memories that are unique to you. Artificial intelligence probably isn't going to take us there, because artificial intelligence is looking to learn from us to give us an answer. But whatever the answer is for me is going to be very different to the answer for you. And only you can get inside your head. Only I can get inside my head and have those memories jogged and see them.
And you need that incongruity to...
You need that thing. Yeah.
To change it, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Just very quick.
Sure.
I had to ask you guys 2 quick questions. How do you maintain such a healthy relationship between father and daughter? Because I think that's
it's the raps. 100% the raps. I cannot, and this is why we talked about this. We're not here. Everyone, there's lots of different things out there to help people. Our primary goal is to help families. 100%. If you have healthy family dynamics, everything in your life is easier. And Christine's talked about this many, many times. My mum, she used to be quite volatile in her reactions. That impacted me. That made me quite nervous, extremely nervous. But because of us all, Dad's pretty much always been pretty calm, except for that one period in his life. Because of this, my mum doesn't react the way she used to at all. I told you last time, I don't have really many fears nowadays. I'm pretty comfortable with anything, and so I can present and do all those things. It's because of that, because we don't have the triggers in us to the intensity we used to have the triggers.
Yeah.
It's just easy.
Yeah, now we have other things which are much easier to deal, happy with things, we're more relaxed, we're calm, you can say things now that it's not going to bring a reaction.
Yeah, you still disagree, but it doesn't trigger that fear-type reaction in you.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm going to a festival up at Khan Kaban this week, next week, and it's all about the key they want to do as fathers and sons. That's because of the suicide rate of young men. Fathers, this is the best tool you could ever get. And I know men don't believe it. They think they're strong and they don't believe it, and they're capable of sorting their problems out. If men took this on board and used it to the level that I use it, we would have a much healthier life, because you won't need to resort to all these other releases that you use to keep yourself going. Okay, and we use all sorts of releases which can have a major impact on your families.
That was excellent. One last question. Just how do you stay so fit in retirement years? Just maybe you can give us a...
Okay, so we have a small, as I said earlier, we do aqua exercise. We have a small spa now, which we use individually because it's that small. We still do our weight training in the pool. We have some exercise equipment, which we use a bit. We play table tennis between us each day. And
you run on the beach every day with
the dogs. We run on the beach every day with the dogs. And I just think healthy.
Actually, you know what? That's how he keeps fit. But you know what? This is a perfect question, Peter, because that is looking at the outcome, not the cause, right? People struggle to keep fit because they've got a barrier towards it. They find it uncomfortable. They're tired. They don't enjoy it. But what has taught them to see it that way? It's always further up the chain of events. Again, because Mum and Dad, obviously they do the raps with people every day. they don't have those blocks around just getting out and doing these things.
Little things as a kid, losing in a race is quite detrimental.
Yeah.
Just all those things. So suddenly sport's not nice.
Yeah.
You know, running and I've tripped up and I grazed my elbows and my hands. Oh, I don't like running.
Yeah.
So you might think, oh, I'll get over that. But
Your brain remembers
that.
And I'm going to, sorry, last little one. This is not about saying everyone should win every race either, because that's, again, too extreme. It's all about just bringing in those edges.
Yeah, softening that impact that you felt in the very first instance.
Yeah.
You're able to look over and say, I didn't win that race. Okay, but there again, I was actually shorter than all the other kids. So now I can understand why I didn't win the race.
Yeah.
Or, you know, just something, I tripped up. Well, yes, I was a kid then. You know, we didn't have that much control, you know.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And that process that Dad just did, that literally reshapes the memory. So the next time you see you have to run, guess which memory gets jogged? The new version of it. So guess what hormones come running through you? The stressed ones or the calm ones? The calm ones.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on the Convo Couch today, and thank you to Gwenda and Brian for coming on today.
Well, thank you, Sam. This has been fun as always. We love doing this with you. So,
thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Don't forget to check out the links below to Your Hidden Mind and subscribe too. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Gwenda here from Your Hidden Mind with my dad, Brian.
Yep.
Look, I think the thing we want you to know is that if you have stress in your life today, dealing with the symptoms is not going to give you sustainable ease.
No.
You need to go further back in your history and see it with fresh, new perspective. And that is what Your Hidden Mind is designed to do. Just short poetry, short prose to help you get new perspective on how you learnt to fear life, because it is your fears that are controlling all of your stress, that are impacting all of your relationships. Downsize those, and that is when you get to live with far more compassion and ease rather than reaction and fear. And that's why we do what we do.
Yep, Your Hidden Mind works on the trigger.
Yeah.
It's the one system that works on the trigger.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tools and techniques available to us, out there. But if it's using your conscious mind, it's not going to work, One of the most popular things and very effective things is meditation, but a lot of people struggle to meditate, and get to that inner place. What Your Hidden Mind does, it takes you there. It does all the work for you, And we have a lot of these other, as I said in my thing, a lot of these other programs that actually, they do get there, but you need somebody else to help you do it, The Hidden Mind is the one thing that actually does get to the core itself without anybody else doing the work for you, and without you having to do the work either.
Too much. And it's an interesting part with the meditation. With meditation, they're always trying to get you to, not always, but a lot of them are trying to get you to stop your mind wandering. Your hidden mind actually turns that on its head, and it triggers your mind to wander, but in a very, very safe way, so that you get new perspective on where your mind wanders to. And that's important, because the reason your mind is wandering is because it's looking for resolution on something.
Yeah.
Get resolution on it, and that's what stops the stress-based mind wandering or analysis. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, myself, and I went to them and I got this answer, I got this reading, but they didn't actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
And that's the key difference.
And only you will ever know what's inside your mind.
Right.
Yeah.